A pair of races make up round 6 of the Pirelli Porsche Cup at Croft, England's most northerly race circuit. Away they go. We ride with Pete Chambers. He's the jinx around the outside of Godfrey Jones, the man who started from the front of the grid. And Chambers, the red and silver car, gets his nose inside at the first corner. That's what counts. Possession is not just 9 points, it's 10 points of the law here. And when you've got the racing line into the first corner at Clairvaux and then through Hawthorne Bend, you are onto a winner. With Chris Healy in the middle of the front-running Class 2 cars, that's Mike Salmon ahead of him and Robert Babbicon, the orange car, ahead of him. Chris Healy didn't qualify well and unlikely to feature in the battle for the lead on this tough and demanding circuit. There's Healy. Adrian Greaves right with him there, the number 1 car of the reigning champion, also a Class 1 machine. Pete Chambers leads then from Godfrey Jones. David Jones behind him. The bright red car is Adam Simmons. And then the two teammates Mark Sumter and Richard True going through. 16 there is Tony Littlejohn, the white car, just going past Piers Maserati as we saw in that shot. Pete Chambers leading then from the Jones brothers. And Adam Simmons in 4th place. This is Richard True right behind that battle. There is Simmons, number 10, fighting off the number 2 machine. Number 2 is Sumter, and as we ride with his teammate Richard True, Sumter goes down the inside, over the curbs at the hairpin and gets the place. That means that Richard True is now challenging inside Adam Simmons as they rush up to Clairvaux, which is a right-hander. Let's see if he's got the line or not. No, he doesn't. Simmons was there the whole time, just on the right-hand side of the driver. Couldn't see him, but you could tell from his attitude going into the corner that he knew he didn't have the line. Behind him is number 4, another of his teammates, that's Paul Doran. Now with Tom McHugh in his 944, number 63 machine. Clumps the curbs and the tyres. And a view there of number 16, and that's Littlejohn. Tony Littlejohn needs to practice a little on his John O'Lacey spin turns to rejoin the race. That one didn't quite come off as he had hoped. Mark Sumter again down through the S's and into the hairpin. And Richard True trying to carry off the move that Sumter made last time on Adam Simmons. Doesn't quite make it. Simmons stays ahead. Class 3 battle here. And Stuart Scott, the man in the middle of the action, number 60, Paul Martin behind him, and Martin's teammate Andrew Sweetnam leading them through the hairpin at the end of the lap. Look here at the replay. The white car of Tony Littlejohn gets a little bit sideways, coming out of the chicane. Bit of a tank slapper, onto the grass he goes. And the momentum there, carrying the car round. Fortunately for him, taking him away from everybody else. So no damage done there. Chambers leading from the 2 Jones brothers. And we're with Chris Healy. He's chasing Julian Wiley here. Wiley in the pale blue rear engine 911 Carrera. And the very obviously different front engine 944 Turbo goes ahead of him. Pete Chambers still leads. Godfrey Jones 2nd. David Jones in 3rd place. Mark Sumter in 4th. And they're some way clear of the chasing pack now. And that's led by the flash of red, tells us Adam Simmons. 62, Andrew Sweetnam. Oh dear, and his teammate. Paul Martin just losing control there. Again, no damage done. Except maybe to the ego. Reigning champion Adrian Greaves pulls the number 1 car off the track. And the local driver on his home track, not having the best of luck, it seems. Well, I'm not quite sure what his problem is, but clearly it's not a driver problem. Riding with Tom McHugh, checking the mirrors again, and somebody's come flash by him. Oh, that's Tony Littlejohn. Oh, is he going to stay on? I don't think he is, no. He ran out of road and got onto the grass at that kind of an angle, and that won't help traction an awful lot. Oh dear, no, there he is, rejoining again behind Stuart Scott. And for Adrian Greaves, the bad news is that it's a rear drive failure. Robert Babbickan leading Class 2 from the 48 car of Mike Salmon. These two very experienced campaigners and often provide good battles. Chris Healy fighting the number 4 machine. That's Paul Doran. And Doran almost goes off exactly where we just saw Little John go off. And he just ran out of room there. Through the Jim Clark S's we go. And Healy using all the road and more. Here is Robert Babbickan, the orange machine, and the battle for Class 2 honours. Very tightly fought. Here's Maserati getting in on the tail of this one now. Oh dear! And another lose. And that really was a big tank slapper. It took its time to fully mature, that one. But Mike Salmon paid the penalty for that slight mistake there. And he's about to lose a bit of front bodywork as well, having lost second place in Class 2. Rejoins in third. Bits of brake ducting and all sorts flying off the car. Pete Chambers now really under pressure from behind. Godfrey Jones right up his exhaust pipe as they came out of the hairpin and onto the start-finish straight. Down to Clervaux, a right-handed first corner. Oh, and he spun it! No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. That's what a tank slapper looks like from the inside. Big slides in both directions as the car pendulums around at the back. Well, he didn't quite gyrate. He lost a lot of time and ground, and most importantly to him, the lead of the race to Godfrey Jones. But a cool, calm collect there by Pete Chambers. And straight back into contention, right on the tail of Godfrey Jones. Well, he went across the start-finish line as the leader in the beginning of that lap, and he might yet at the end of it as well. Richard True chasing the red machine of Adam Simmons. They're coming up to one of the Class C cars. That's Paul Martin, who we saw spin earlier. Oh, and getting very held up through the Jim Clark S's. And that allows Healy to come alongside. Well, Simmons manages to hold on there. But there's really only one line through the corners, and both cars were having trouble using it. Well, Simmons now gets the break, and he manages to escape a little from Richard True. Just ahead, the leaders passing number 60, Stuart Scott there. Godfrey Jones and Pete Chambers go by him. They'll have to deal with Andrew Sweetenham in a moment. Replay now the previous lap. Pete Chambers in the lead, gets a big slide going into Clervaux, holds that into the gravel. Somehow the car doesn't spin, manages to avoid the tyres. It's almost like classic rally driving, in fact. The sideways attitude of the car slowing him down, but held on to it superbly. On board with Pete now as we go past Tom McHugh, and on board with Tom McHugh as Pete Chambers goes past us. Nifty little bit of camera shifting. So the leaders through some of the Class 3 cars, and Godfrey Jones just able to keep Pete Chambers at a decent distance in these closing stages. David Jones in third place, Mark Sumter in fourth, and this is the run to the flag. Slower cars ahead. Pete Chambers will take second place as Godfrey Jones wins it. And here is Richard True, and off there is number 22. That's David Jones, dropped out of third place and gets to the line in sixth position. Godfrey Jones, the winner then of Class 1 and the whole of the race. Robert Babbickan, winner of Class 2, and Paul Mace, winner of Class 3. There is the top six. The Jones boys first and sixth. Race 2 of round 6, the Pirelli Porsche Cup at Croft, and they start as they finished race 1, which means Godfrey Jones, the yellow and blue car, closer to the camera on the pole and the front row of the grid. Pete Chambers on the outside. Chambers had the inside line at the start of the first race and held it to take the lead into the second turn. And this time Godfrey Jones has the position and holds that place. Richard True bouncing all over the curbs in fifth place, behind David Jones, who has made a great start, Goes up into third place from Mark Sumpter, with Chris Healy challenging Adam Simmons, the man who he followed across the line in race 1. Goes down into Tower, and they're side by side. Robert Babbickan, the orange car there, the winner of Class 2 last time in the earlier race. Godfrey Jones leading them from Pete Chambers, David Jones, Mark Sumpter, Richard True, Adam Simmons and Chris Healy. Simmons the red machine, Healy the all-blue car there. Then Robert Babbickan leading Class 2 runners through. And in the middle of them, the white car of Tony Littlejohn, who was spectacular in his spins in race 1. Well, the first 6 or 7 cars all together. Godfrey Jones really under pressure from Pete Chambers. Chambers lost the race a couple of laps from the end in race 1 when he had a mistake, and Godfrey Jones hands him the lead in this one at the end of lap 1 when he too has a little mistake. Chris Healy chasing out of the hairpin and across the start-finish line, takes the inside line. It's not such a good way of getting into the corner, but it does mean that you tend to take a position from somebody on the outside, and Adam Simmons, the red machine, does lose a place. Healy a little wide on the exit of Hawthorne though, holds it all together, gets through the chicane in that position. Number 60 here, Stuart Scott, in the middle of the Class 3 action, and recovering on the side of the track there, number 7, that's Julian Wiley, and somebody else as well, that's Paul Doran, the number 4 machine. Oh, and woof, that was close through the chicane. Looks as though the two of them may have got caught up with one another, and I think Doran's suffering from, he must have either a puncture already or the body rubbing on the tyre. So you would imagine that there was contact there at some stage. Well, that's always bad news for drivers, because a tyre being rubbed by the bodywork often leads to a puncture. And here's another driver with that problem. Little kink in the rear arch, and look how much the car is rubbing the tyre there. That's Mark Sumpter. And that might be long-term problems on the way for Sumpter. That's Paul Doran. We saw him out of the car there, and his car being pushed away. Sumpter goes wide, riding with Chris Healy right behind him. Well, Sumpter held on to that one. And now with Richard True behind Sumpter and Healy right ahead of us. So Mark Sumpter under pressure here. And I wonder whether his tyre is maybe slightly deflating. Pete Chambers leading from Godfrey Jones, David Jones, then Mark Sumpter. Chris Healy there, car number 6. First of the front engine machines. And riding with Richard True, Sumpter and Healy ahead of us. True under pressure from behind from Adam Simmons. Using all of the road and a bit more. And again you can see the tyre smoke in the previous shot coming off Sumpter's left rear. Chris Healy goes by him. And indeed so does Richard True. Looks like Sumpter is struggling. Well, not terminally struggling, but he is struggling. And again, look at the tyre smoke there, pouring off that left rear. And although he may not necessarily see the smoke, I'm sure he can smell it, and I'm sure he can feel the effects. Sumpter holding on at the moment. Holding on out front in Class 2, Robert Babbickan, the orange machine, Piers Maserati right behind him, then the repaired car of Mike Salmon. Oh dear, Tony Littlejohn nearly spinning there, and passes 2 of them under yellow flags. That's a slapped wrist for him. Piers Maserati pulling off the circuit. Didn't see the reason for that at all. Gets out, has a look at the front of the car and walks off. Broken front suspension, the diagnosis. Riding with Richard True, oh dear, contact from behind. You saw a flash of red in the mirror. Adam Simmons is there, and he is the guilty party. Guilty at least of being in the wrong place at the wrong time as far as Richard True is concerned. True loses lots of time, turning around and rejoining, but no positions. And this is the end of the line, I think, for Mark Sumpter. Yes, look, his tyre really deflated now and completely off the rim. And that is a very fortuitous place for it to happen just before the entrance to the pits. Well, despite the best efforts of Godfrey Jones, Pete Chambers continued in his leading ways all the way to the flag. The Jones boys second and third, and Chambers still the championship leader.